what is spear, claw, stone? Spear, claw, stone. So this is going to be a system of progressive movements that will make you stronger, faster, more flexible, and more confident. It could be used from anything just for healthy living or also for self-defense. It's one of the simplest systems that you can learn to use, and it never gets boring because this is going to teach you ways that you can improvise through from wherever you are to wherever you want to be. So the story behind spear, claw, stone are just things that, one, a spear is man-made and it can be a weapon. Two, a claw is part of an animal and can also be a weapon. And three, a stone can be used by both humans and animals as a weapon. Animals can throw stones or push them over, and so can humans can throw stones. So they can, in that way, they can be used as a weapon. Spear, claw, stone could also be called blade, claw, stone. The spear just stands for blade or any sharp-edged instrument. So the spear could also be used as a tool for, even in modern day, as a screwdriver, but back in the Stone Age to dig with, for example, or to cut tree branches, or to cut the food that they eat, or even to hunt with, which turns it into both a tool and a weapon. So, and then with the claw on an animal, again, the claw can also be used as a tool because some animals have claws that are, well, both used as weapons in defense and attack and hunting, and also used as a tool, such as, and like I said, hunting before with the spear, hunting is also a form of using a weapon as well, using a weapon that also doubles as a tool. And because a tool I consider as something as a necessity or to build something. And animals also dig holes with their claws. It can be used as a tool to climb trees and different things like that. So in that way it can also be a tool. And then of course a stone, can be used both by humans and animals, again, to build things. Humans can use stones to build. You can build a very simple home with just stones, and so can animals. They can use stones all the way down to the insect world of animals, where they can move around stones and rocks, and different animals use different stones as to build things and to make different enclosures. And so that's the basic of a spear, claw, stone. And how does this help with healthy living and self-defense, or getting stronger and faster, more flexible, more powerful, meaning having more neurological connections, recruiting more muscle fibers? So this is also going to help us to put together the very simple types of movements that we can do. First of all, I'm sitting down here, and a very simple thing we could do in the spear, claw, stone system, if you will, or the improvisation system of spear, claw, stone, is here's what the spear, claw, and stone look like with your hands. So very simple. Spear, it can be pointing down like that, it could be pointing together, it could be pointing up, right? Spear could be facing up like this, palm up or palm down, palm in, palm out, right? Palm out, palm in, right? Could be here. You can put the spear, can be in any movement that you wanted to. Claw is the same thing. Just here, claw. Can be facing each other, claws. Can be claws facing up, facing down, claws reaching up, claws reaching over, claws reaching out, claws reaching in. So many different ways that it's all just a different position of your hand and different movements that it can go through. And then of course stone would be your closed fist. Again, closed fist can be here, here, under, can come together, right? So there's so many ways that you can move the stone or the fist. So spear, claw, stone. And so a lot of different movements can be made up from that. But you also now need another foundation on how to start building these exercises very simply without having to memorize a lot of fancy things. And so that's when simple directions come into play. And we're just going to use our left, which is, if you're looking at me, this is your right, and your right. If you're looking here, this is my right, but it's your left. So your left or your right is where you can start, or you can start from the center and go left, and then recenter and go right. So there's very simple ways to do this. So for example, If I wanted to do a spear movement to my left, I could simply, from my chair, turn, and just turn my upper body, and I can use one or both hands. And always one of the things too is we're always going to be kind of like what's called an on-guard stance. You can have an on-guard stance with your spear, your claw, or your stone. Okay, so if you want to do any kind of movement here, you can simply, starting to your right, if you will, if you want to, start with your right, you put your hands in that spear position, right, and you simply turn. And you're defensive, and you're just turning your body from your seat, and you're defensive, you're going to the left, right, so that's it, and then coming back to center. Back to center, then you go to the right, and then back to center. And now you've just completed one defensive movement using spear, because the rule is that whatever you do on one side, you have to do on the other. So if you start on your right, you move into your left. But then the thing with that is this always doubles up. So whenever you do exercise, which I call a 180 exercise with any spear, claw, or stone movement, you have to go 180 back the other way. So it's always 2 times 180, but also interesting enough, 2 times 190. So let me just go through again the first spear exercise from a seated position from the chair. And by the way, this is going to get a lot more advanced. Some of you probably already see what's happening here. This can get a lot more complicated or complex or intricate, whatever word you want to use, very, very quickly. So we already did a claw defense on one side, right? So, and we can just call that a defense, but we're always going to have our hands. This is going to be a very default position. Either we can have our elbows out or in. It doesn't matter. Not everything should be the same all the time, and it could be any level that you want it to. But sometimes you want to focus on doing one or the other, right? So you can have them straight down to the ground, 45-degree angle, 90, or anything in between. But so we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. You're sitting here, and now we're going to the other direction. We went here first, so this would be my right, and so I'm just going to put my hands in the spear position, turn, and come back, and that's it. Then I've completed the movement, and now I'm back to center. So the same thing going on. If we start at the center, we have to go to one side, center again, then to the other side. This time we went like this, 180 degrees, centered, and then went back the other way, 180 degrees, centered. Now we can start in the center, and we can just start in the center, go to the left, back to the center, go to the right, back to the center. That's it, and that's 2 times 90. So you're going just a 90-degree angle, either to your left or your right, if you start at the center. Okay, now the same exact things can be done simply with the changing the position of your hands. So we started with spear. You can either do claw, the same thing, which would look like this. So if we'll start here, 1, and go all the way through, and back, and just start 1, and go all the way through, and then back to the center with our hands in that claw position. And you can make that claw as fierce as you want it to be, as fierce as you want it to be. This is also later on going to help you build up grip by moving your hand into that claw position. And again, the same thing goes for if you start in the center. It'll be claw, right, in the defensive claws, and then out here, 1, 2, 3, we just did 180 degrees, and we start at the side that we finished on. 1, 2, and then 3 back to the center with the claws, right? And then claw can be from center, center, right? Same thing with stone. Stone, defensive position, go from left to right, and we could even just go back to the other way if we wanted to, but we end back up in the center. All right, and that's it. So you can do those things with spear, claw, stone. And that's one way to very easily build up exercises. So now I've just given you 2 things. I've given you the names of how you're going to place your hands, as either as a spear, either as a claw, right, or as a stone, okay? And then we're just going to be moving either to the left, to the right, or turning to the left and right, pivoting to the left and the right, and then also doing something similar from the center. So now, if I wanted to make that into a strike, it would be very simple. I can start with spear hands, and if I want to, this kind of movement, when you do this in boxing, if a hand comes across your body, they call it a cross punch. Usually it's from the arm that's behind you. Either they call 2 stances with left or right in front. They either call them orthodox or southpaw. But the arm that usually comes across from the back of the body is called a cross. It kind of comes across your body this way. But what we're going to do is The cross is used no matter if you're doing spear, claw, or stone. You start again, and if we're going to spear strike to one side, we put our hands up and spear, right? There's a strike, and we come back. We can go the other way, spear right away, and come back, right? And we can also just go very quickly, spear, spear, and back, right? And then to the front, we simply spear out to the front and back. Now, some of these movements, a lot of them, especially the spear movements, are not necessarily going to be used as strikes, as striking anything with your extended fingers can really hurt. But another thing, keep in mind, I may have mentioned this in the opening, that this is also to give your workouts variety so you never get bored, because by learning the system, you can learn how to create exercises on your own by deciding ahead of time, you know, what different things you're going to put together, and you learn to string them together very quickly and very easily. So, and again, the same thing can be happen if you claw, right? You just claw here, or you can stone here, and everything back to the defensive position, right? And same thing, claw, both of them forward, or stone, both of them forward. You can also alternate. Spear, spear, forward. Claw, claw, forward. Stone, stone, right, all to the front. So there's many different ways you can split it up. You can do it here, this way, or you can alternate, right? And it gives variety. It gives variety. And okay, so then this is just for me sitting down. A lot of people can do those exercises sitting down. There are other things you can do to engage your core from this seated position, and there's simple things like finding your balance and learning how to lift up your knees, for example. You can turn these into any kind of defensive movements. You can do a spear again, and you can bring your knee to your elbow while you're sitting in the chair, and then down. Same thing on the other side. Bring the knee to the elbow, and then down, right? And from the center, sometimes you might have to change where your position is on the chair, and if you want to, if your body allows you to do this, you come up with your knees. Right, both of them together, and then down to the center, all while your hands are in a spear, okay? The same thing, claw, right? You can bring your knee to your elbow, both of them, right? And that's also depending on, when I did that, I was hunched over a little bit. You can adjust your level, or how you feel, and where your balance is, where you can bring up your knees, right? If your chair has a back, that'll catch you like it just did with me. If it doesn't, then that's when you start learning better balance. But maybe start with a chair that has a back first, right? So claw, same thing. Stone, same thing. Knee up, or you can be sitting up tall with the knee up, slouch down, knee up, or up high. So you adjust it depending on how you feel. And it can be just how you feel that day. Sometimes you might not feel like doing all the balancing stuff, right? And anything like that, but you decide. But whatever's done on the left has to be done on the right, always. And then once in the middle, using both sides, both arms, both legs, if you have both arms and legs to be able to use. So whatever you're using, whatever you can, and making everything as symmetrical as possible. So now we have a way to just give variety to the same movement, right? If you're just putting both of your hands forward, spear, claw, stone. And you can make a whole variety of movements like it. If you want to alternate, right, you can go spear, spear, claw, claw, stone, stone. I prefer that you start here, shoulders relaxed, elbows down close to the body, but you can start however you want, see? Spear, spear, claw, claw, stone, stone. Sitting upright, everything. There's so many different parameters that you can change to make it different from the time you did it before. Because being hunched over is not wrong, but being upright all the time is not always right. There are different situations for different things and just different times that you'll feel. And the object of this is to be able to create endless amounts of exercises that you can do no matter how you're feeling or no matter what your ability is. And I just showed from sitting in a chair and some things that some people aren't not yet or will ever be able to do, which simply lift their knees up to their elbows, right? I mean, you can also do spear and lift your knees, right? Spear, claws, right? Stones, right? So many things and spear, claw, stone can just be used as a counting system. This is my first set, right, of 2. My second set of 2, right? My third set of 2, and you know where you are. And the thing is that you always want to end with stone. So no matter what, you're always getting an even amount. So you can just go spear, 1, 2, claw, 1, 2, stone, 1, 2. And this is the way for you to keep track of where you are. The stone will always be at the end. The stone will always be at the end. It's a way to keep track of how many you're doing. Well, not even how many you're doing, but making sure that everything is symmetrical. Because if you lose count and you find yourself at stone and you're getting tired, you're like, okay, I just got 2 more left. 1, 2, and that's it. And it will give you a cutoff point rather than always having to count a certain amount of reps or anything like that. Sometimes you can lose yourself and meditate and just know, okay, wait a minute, it's time for me to stop doing this exercise now. I'm going to turn off this heater because this is going to get heated up here. But it always gives you an end point. So you start feeling tired, but you know you just have to finish one more set with 2 stones, right? Whatever that may be, right? Whatever that may be. Whatever that may be. With those stones, right? Stone will always be the end. And so there's so many things you can put together and it will always end with stone and it'll never be boring. From your chair, you can start here and do just a defense with the spear, right? So spear, left to right, right to left, center. Now strikes across. 1, 2, right, strikes forward. 1, 2, we can do strikes up. 3, 4, we can do whatever we want. We can strike down, right? So many things that we can do with that. And then we have a rider. Okay, so we're done with that. Let's go into a claw set. Well, maybe we cross over as well, right? Maybe we swipe those claws out. Maybe we swipe them up. Maybe we reach them out. But whatever you do on the left, you do on the right, okay? You do your defense with your claws, right? Maybe start from the center to the right, center to the left, right? Still the hand up claw. So many things you can do with this. Just different position of your hand movement. Again, this is just sitting. I haven't done anything yet, right? And the same thing with stone. Stone, you can block, 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 block here, block there, center, right? Always ending in the center. And again, changing your level can be hunched over or straight or some variation of that, okay? So all of those different things can be done. And again, stone can be just used to count. You could be losing yourself for a little bit and you finally feel, okay, my body needs a break or I need to get a drink of water or whatever. And then you know, okay, I'm just going to finish this with a set of stones or something with the stone, right? And maybe we'll clear that up a little bit more, but I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Now we can do things from the chair where we're either doing these movements standing up. So we can just make our feet even from the chair. We can either go into a spear, a claw, or a stone, and we're just going to stand up. And then we can do the same thing. So, standing up, okay, standing up. Now we can do the same thing. We can turn, right? We can turn. We're standing up. Let me see. Let's go back there. Okay. So from standing up, we can do the same thing. Spear, claw, stone, and do some of the same movements we were doing in the seat, right? While we're sitting down. Other things we can do is, let me get some more distance back here. Move my radiator. Okay, so from here, when we move with our feet, we can either move, from standing up, we can either just move our torso, turning as much as is comfortable for us, right? Or pivot your feet, pushing off the back, right? Spear, turn, the hands are on spear, right? Open, spear, right? Spear, center, right? Okay. Then, now, that also can just be from the torso, and like I said, you can pivot that foot when you're turning. Pivot when you're turning. Okay, so that's another way to do that. And again, you can spear pivot to the sides or just turn the torso, right? Claw pivot to the sides, right? Or just with your torso. Stone pivot, right, with the feet to the side, but you can move both these sides and back to the center. You know, and it could just be with the waist movement or pivoting and the waist movement. All right. Okay, well, since I already smashed my radiator. All right. So now, all right. So then we can get even deeper into these movements using spear, claw, and stone as markers for an even amount of repetitions, both on the left and the right. Now there are different things we can do. We can spear, and we can do a defensive movement while standing up by going into a squat. Standing up. We can spear going into the left or right by going into a lunge. And we can go back the other way, right? And again, with the claw, same thing. Claw. 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 Right? Claw. There you go. Stone, same thing. Okay. Now, there's another component to add to this. And this is the idea of another triplet. Everything's going to come in threes. I also have 3 colors, red, yellow, and green, that we're going to talk about next. So then the other triplet, so we did, remember there's left, right, and center. That's another 3, right? Spear, claw, stone. That's another 3, right? So now here's another 3 that we're going to learn before we even talk about the colors yet, which actually have to do with like sparring and other types of dynamic movement. So now the next 3 here are called move, escape, strike. And very simply, to move means to change maybe what direction you're facing, right? So move can be if you're facing to the right, you can move by turning to the left. Or move can simply mean stepping or moving in one direction. So move. It doesn't necessarily have to be for an escape, but movement and escape can be the same thing. So can striking and escaping. So it's all just changing direction. So if you're in the center, you're gonna move to the left or to the right. Right? If you're in the center, you're gonna move to either the left or your right. And then from there, right, then you do some kind of escape, which means to get out of the way. So maybe you go even further in that direction if you can, right? Or maybe your escape is that you move away from where you moved to at first. Okay, so move, escape, strike. If you want to make it like this, we spear hands, right? So you'll move with your spear hands, and then the escape, right, moves here, and then strike, maybe come up with a spear hand, right? Remember what you do on one side, you do on the other. So here, move, right? Escape, right? Strike, right? Maybe you do right, left first, or left, right, but there's always going to be 2 because you got 2 hands. Most of us have 2 hands. If you don't, you can think about it or keep still, whatever works for you, okay? Right, same thing. Again, look how easy that is that you can do move, escape, strike. Move, right? Move. I move back. Maybe I escape to the left, but since I did it that way, I'm also going to escape to the right. And then strike from the middle, from the straight forward, right? I can strike with these 2 stones. Or if they were claws, I can do that, right? But everything you can do, stone. But I should have gone to claw second, but yeah, it's spear, claw, and stone. So then you have move, escape, strike. But now there are 6 different permutations of this, which also lead to, you can do a string of up to between 9, you can do 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18 different sequences of movements, one after each another, by building up on this. So when you go move, escape, strike, then you take the second step part of that move, escape, strike, and you make that first, and you make the third one second, and you just take the move and put it on the end as the third. So now it becomes escape, strike, move. Okay, so now something will be an escape, and again, you can do it with the blade hands, and escape could be really emphasized by your escaping by guarding your head, right? So escape, right? Now this time the strike is second, so you can strike by slapping, right? Backhand slap, right? Slap or chop, you know, but the thing is it's a blade, so you can do any of these movements, slap, chop. So it's escape, strike, right? And now move. The movement usually is not necessarily meant to be anything that is defensive movement. If anything, you can think about it like this. Whenever you define the word, whenever you use the step, the part that's move based, it could be something as simple as getting back to the center. So because when you escape, you might be escaping to the side, right? And then you strike, and then your next move is to get back to the center. Sometimes that's all it is. So in this one, again, escape, strike, move, I could have my claws, right? So I can escape back, I can strike, right? And then I can move right back to where I came from in the center. And then the third permutation of that, you take the last one, right? It was move, escape, strike, then it was escape, strike, move. Now it's going to be strike, move, escape. So the first thing from the center, strike, and since you have a right hand, you have a left, so you're going to do that strike, 1, 2, strike, escape. So maybe your escape consists of getting out of the way here, and then getting out of the way here, and then third is move, just move back to center again. So now there's a few more permutations of this. I'll write these in the notes, but it goes escape, move, strike. Okay, so it could be escape, right? Any kind of movement back to the center, maybe, and then strike. Okay, move, strike, escape. So again, you're gonna move. Moving could be either moving forward, moving backwards. It works as well standing up. So again, so moving could be something as well as taking 2 steps forward, moving, right, and then striking. Or escaping could be just something simply as moving down. Actually, move, escape, strike was the first one. This is, let's see, move, strike, escape, right? So we're going to go, we're going to start here. We're going to say maybe move, strike, okay, and then escape. And if we escape in a way that's asymmetrical, right, then we're just going to do it back the other way. And so we're just building and building and building. It could be move, right? And any kind of strike, right, with a spear, claw, stone, right? It could be spear, claw, stone, right? Any one of these movements, but right, left, right. And then finally we have, where do we end? Oh yeah, strike, escape, move. So again, strike, escape, move. Strike, and again, these don't always have to be a left-right thing. You can do everything to one side, starting with one side first and then finish to left. For example, you don't have to go strike, strike, escape, escape, and then move, move. You can do strike, escape, move, right? Strike, escape, move. So you can do all to one side first and then do the other one. So it can be any way you want. You can start from the center and do them this way, balanced, right? As long as what you do on one side, you do to the other, or you can split them up, but as long as you're doing from what you do with one side, you do to the other. Again, any of this can happen. You can move, right? Strike, right? And then escape, right? So there's so many different things you can do, even just with kicks or standing up. You know, another thing you can just think move, strike, escape, or even a lunge, escape, right? So many different things that you can do there. And again, you can build it in a way where you keep a lot of variety, and just as long as you keep track. It's also a very easy way to plan ahead of time what you're going to do, and you can use a notebook. I have a notebook here, but so it can be to help you plan what you're going to do ahead of time. And then about the colors. So that's a little bit more advanced, and it has to do with if you're working with a partner, how close you're going to be. If you're in the red zone, that means stop, we're going to keep our distance where we're so far apart from each other that what we do is not going to, there's no way that we could strike each other at all. And that's when either you or somebody else is like a brand new beginner or has some type of issue with, or is too timid to, or doesn't want to be in striking distance. But the way that this works with a partner is that you kind of choreograph it together. So one person will do 3 moves or 3 techniques on each side, right? And while the other person responds to that. So, for example, if I start out and I want to start with a strike, right, which usually get the other person to respond to me. So I can do like a strike pattern. So I can go maybe strike, strike, and then escape, right? So then the other person would be responding with an escape, escape, and a strike to match what I did. And then you do that on the other side. So it could be, like a strike, strike, and then escape, right? Whoever's going to start it on one side, and the other person responds with an escape, escape, and then a strike. And move and strike and move and escape can be combined. There are moving escapes and moving strike. So there's also combinations of that if you want to, when you start being able to make it more complicated. But remember, the simplicity of it all is just in what you're doing on the left, you're also going to match doing the same thing on the right, and then some way from the center, even if it's just as an exercise where you're just moving your body. So now I showed a way that you can use a squat as an escape to get out of the way, and a lunge to one side or the other to get out of the way. There are other ways to use the lunge where, for example, it could simply be just stepping back. So a lunge could be if you're stepping back into a lunge, maybe with spear, claw, or stone hands, right? Back up here, stepping back, right? So that can be you can step forward, right? So they're stepping forward. But all of it is within that framework of that you're having your hands up either in spear, claw, or stone, okay? So it gives it more variety. It makes you have to think and gives you some room for being able to do different kinds of repetitions. And everything, experiment doing it to the left, doing it to the right, okay? So now that a lot of that is going to be